Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Facebook fans, and hello, my special YouTube following family. How's everybody doing on this wonderful, I say wonderful, motivational Monday, July 2026, right, gentlemen and ladies?
Yes, it is.
Sometimes I get my days mixed up, but it's July 26, 2021. I like to say the year of our Lord. How's everybody doing today? Well, I'm going to tell you, Bella Biz is doing great. You know why? I'm great to be here, and it's wonderful to be alive. Without further ado, I'm going to go into our topic today. The topic today is doing business in 2021. And as we all know, and we need to be reminded, we are still going through the pandemic. My first guest, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and she's going to tell you all about herself. Her name is Tandelyn Daniel. Tandelyn Daniel hails from, I want to say, Rents. That's R-E-N, Georgia.
That's right, Rents, Georgia.
She's a truly Georgia Pete. She went to University of Georgia. She also lives in John Creek. She has a wonderful son named Jake. I call her Jake's mom, and she's an enjoyer of food and good conversation. We got a lot to talk about, but I want to let y'all know I haven't seen this sweet queen in years. We used to work together. I'm going to give a shameless plug, Dania International, which was my first official federal government contract working for Dania International. I met this beautiful woman, and whoa, boy, we got lots to talk about. And as you all can see, I have another superpower in the house. Listen, y'all know me. I'm not going to do no cartwheels today. I got my pearls on, so I got to act like a lady. But I got the one and only, my mentor, you didn't even know, for 25 years. Yes, you can have a mentor that don't know that you're a mentor, okay? I've been following Dr. George Fraser for 25 years. I know I'm dating myself because I'm 25, right? But I've been following him for a very long time through LinkedIn, believe it or not. And he used to give me advice to nobody's end, and he didn't even know me. So I'm happy, honored, and excited to talk about Dr. George Fraser later. At the top of the show, we're going to get right into it because y'all know I'm feeling some kind of way. I haven't been on the air in a minute. Y'all get ready to feel the vibe. So Tandelyn Daniel, come on in the room. Talk a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and let it rip. Come on, Tan.
Okay, well, I'm so excited to be here with you, Miss Linda, because I met you way back when, as you said, at Danya, and you were a powerhouse back then when we were working on those CDC contracts. So, I am the CEO and founder of a company called the Georgia Hospitality and Food Service Network. And I've founded that company to help food service operators and restaurateurs be as successful as they possibly could. The value prop is business connections, offer operations focused education, and we also do restaurant consulting.
Let me tell you something, lady. I didn't even know you had all that in you. Because I got to let the audience know a little bit of the backdrop. Because back in the day, come on, Tan, we were working diligently on contracts for
Oh,
the
yeah.
for disease control. And that's all I knew. I didn't know nothing. But what I can tell the audience, I know I received love from you right away. There was no hate, never no shame. There's a lot of things I did not understand. That was my very first official large contract. I wanted to do a great job and become a full-time employee, which never happened, but that's another story. But Tam, you were just kind of open. So let's talk about this because I'm hearing food, right? So I
Yes,
call you the
correct.
food lady. What propelled you to start your own business in this way?
Well, after I graduated from the University of Georgia, and I think it was in 2008. I know it was a economic downturn. And after I left Danya, had a baby, and I was at a career fair, and I was also studying accounting. And every single thing that a young lady in that class would talk about, she would relate it to the Waffle House. And back then, I was so bougie. I'd never eaten at the Waffle House, even though I'm from Georgia, you know. And I just was like, wow, Waffle House, Waffle House. So at this career fair, they were there and they were looking to kind of change their image. They wanted people who had corporate experience. They wanted people to bring a different energy to the business. And I got hired. And it was really eye-opening what it's like to be on the other side of the table, if you will, in the restaurant industry. I developed a huge amount of respect for how hard people work, to just hospitality, to serve people. As you well know, I've always been a people person, even at Danya, when people would be going through all of these things. And I, like I said, I had done some traveling, and I was the lady that when they said, is something wrong with it? I'd say yes, and you're gonna get it right. Have that little attitude. Back then I had long hair, I would even throw it back a little bit. My salmon is not right. But what I learned at the Waffle House was how much goes into a plate of food and the stories behind the people making that food. Now, I was a unit manager. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I was one of the oldest people in that class. Everybody else that was coming straight out the military, and my son, I think he was 2 years old at the time. I actually got started and I made it to a level called top waffle, which means that I had the lowest performing store out of a unit of 25. I was over in Gwinnett County, and I took it to the second highest earning store for the 18 months that I was there. And I did that by teaching associates service, that to us it's a 30-cent egg, but to the person eating it, it is so much more than that. They didn't want to cook, they didn't want to make dinner. Check all of these problems at the door, because we all have them. And it just was a beautiful experience for me. I think back then I managed 21 people, and those little businesses or cash businesses, I learned everything about profit and loss, inventory, people management, just things that I got an MBA in humanity at the Waffle House. And then, like I said, I live in Johns Creek, Georgia. If anybody knows where that is, it's north. But my son was so young, and his father was traveling. So I retired to be a stay at home mom after that. Then, lo and behold, I see a posting for the Georgia Restaurant Association. It was for an internship. And I knew I was 20 years, maybe even 25 years too old for that. But at the end of the day, I was a journalism major. So I was like, restaurants, so I've done a little time in there. And I remember going in and meeting with the executive director of that organization. And by the way, that organization represented at the time, it was pre-COVID, 19,000 restaurants in the state of Georgia. And I went in to be an intern down at the Capitol to go talk about legislative issues. And they called me back that night and said, "Well, you just are so pleasant. Have you ever thought about selling restaurant memberships?" And I said, "No. As a matter of fact, I haven't. But as long as I can be home in time to get my son and his sisters to karate and ballet, yeah, we can do it." So I was given a job that I never applied for, and I was working with some fantastic people. If you remember restaurants like Mix, and I'd been a salesperson, but not in that manner. And I remember walking into a restaurant because you'd have to approach the owner. And I was like, I really love this. I was there for 5 years. I sold 3,000 restaurants and units. When I got started, I knew nobody. And like I said, I think they thought I was in my 20s because they just never asked. And because they were inviting me to stuff like 30 under 30 or 40 under 40. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm 44. I'm 44. And it just, because I got to meet the owners of so many great brands, and they got started by working as dishwashers. They got started. These were people like the people that I met at the Waffle House, and this is with a lot of love. People who you don't think of it as a talent or a skill to engage you and to give you food and to make you happy. everyone can't do that. And I know what the image of all of these different brands are, and I know how people approach hospitality and they approach food. But to be good at it is to be good. And when I got started, I think I had my mom and my cousin on LinkedIn, and here I was working with the son of, I think he was his a senator or something, and learning about the political process, going down to the Capitol. And today, I have 20,000 followers on LinkedIn, primarily in the hospitality space, primarily owners of the company, and I just set out to help people because brands like Chick-fil-A or Fifth Group, or just think of iconic brands around Atlanta. Of course, those people were members of this organization. But because I am from Rents, Georgia, you can probably see I'm African American. I wanted to spread that message to other people who wanted to be restaurateurs, who wanted to do food. So I made it my business to go out to the airport concessionaires. I made it my business to go out to mom and pops on the corner. And it just became, I just enjoyed it. And they would come on and pay a nominal fee to learn about um, the legislative process and support it. So we might represent them on minimum wage. So I would sign them up because maybe they needed workers. Maybe they wanted to know what a Chick-fil-A knew, or what a large McDonald's knew, or et cetera. And what would happen along the way is, for that little membership fee, they would call up and ask about everything. So then I would plug them into the various business providers. That's what I was doing there. And um, like I said, it started small. And, my first big sale was Zaxby's Corporate, which
Wow.
I'm from Georgia, went to the University of Georgia. That is a Georgia based business. And from there, picked up Johnny's, which that is also, it's in 2 states, but it was, like I said, 3,000 different brands and 3,000 different units, but really connecting with the owners, bringing them information about stuff is, you wouldn't even care if you didn't own a restaurant, but grease traps, or how to get the proper tax savings, or community service that you can do. Because when you think about a restaurant or a food service operation, and I'm sure you have your favorite one, but it's truly a community business. It's employing people in the community, it's feeding people in the community, it's giving back, typically to local charities and local whatever. And that is what inspired me. After 5 or so years there, I wanted to just do more, be more. And I was on the way to finding like what I considered a VP or directorship job. And when I left, I kept getting calls. Could you please help me with my restaurant? And I'm like, let me refer you to this, that, and the third. Yeah, but I'd like to continue to work with you. And so I think I left in February, and then I founded this company in May of 2019, because I was just getting so many calls from people that I knew, and they needed help. They needed help. It could be the POS system. It could be that there was a legal issue, and connecting them with various people who would help them succeed.
So this is good, Tan. A couple of comments because I'm really learning a lot. I learn on the fly. So you're more on the end user, because my question was, I'm not going to give any shameless plugs to any restaurants, although a lot of them in the in the Baltimore, Atlanta metropolitan area I love, but
Mhm.
cold, but I'm trying to cut down, lose some weight, look a little bit prettier, right? But check
Okay.
this out,
Okay.
Tan. You know how I go in, or anyone go in, right, for some
Hmm.
good food at their favorite XYZ restaurant, and you either get good service or you don't get good service. So your business, you don't help me, what I call the client paying
Right.
the big bill. You're more focused on the service and the actual vendor, the entity company. Helping
Well,
them.
listen to this. Everybody thinks that the restaurant industry is about food. It is, but it is a business all day long. And it is not. just I didn't have a great experience. Well, if you didn't have a great experience, how can you have a great experience? It is to that owner operator who has his grandmother's macaroni and cheese recipe and he knows that he can sell it, if he can just get his idea right. But then he has to scale because you're not cooking in your kitchen. Then you have to hire people. Then you have to treat them correctly. Then you have to deal with vendors. Then you have to pay your taxes and your lease. So this is very much the nuts and bolts in operations, what I'm doing for the owner. You need to own the joint to really be dealing with me. As much as I love food and as much as I love to dine out. So if you go someplace and you have a horrible experience, that's an opportunity. If the owner would like to fix that opportunity, that's an opportunity to make some changes. And right.
Well, I was going to say, well, we're in this technology age, and there used to be a comment section. I am going to date myself, but we have
Mhm.
advanced to online, right? Sometimes online can be your best friend, and it could be your enemy. But I know
Correct.
sometimes if I'm going to a restaurant I've never been to, Tan, I'll look at it, look at the reviews, and I'll read those comments, right, that people put out there. So is that something when, let's say, for example, you take on Chick-fil-A, just as example, they become your client. Can you walk me through the process, how you assess your client, how to help them? Is that one of the things that you do?
Well, first of all, Chick-fil-A, let's back it up. Chick-fil-A is a beast and it's been a beast. They have every resource, but even Chick-fil-A sometimes might need training, they need new vendors, they need new operations, it's leadership. Imagine you got a 16-year-old girl, and so let me walk you through this. So I got a call, a friend went to a new opening, and that experience was not one that she felt was good. So she reached out to me, and then I go and I meet with the owner and I began to learn, well, he's a fantastic guy, great concept, but now let's back it up and let's look at, who are you employing? Are they trained to deal with people? What are you offering? Is it priced correctly? Because most restaurants close within, like, I think it's like 60% close within the first 3 years. And then you've got most of them not making it out of the gate within the first year because it's that business. It's the business aspect of it. It is now taking that recipe of macaroni and cheese, I'm going to use that example, or waffles that your grandmother was making and you thought it was so good. But if now you're going to try to feed 4,000 people with it,
Yeah,
it's completely different from being in front of your kitchen.
that.
You gotta have a clean environment. You have to be following safety rules. You have to make sure that people aren't getting hurt in the kitchen. You have to, and then because what you see is the ambiance, it's the experience, it's whether or not the food tastes good. But there's so much more going on. It's the production line. It's, is this food cold enough, hot enough? Did you order it in time? Are you gonna run out? Um, if you were selling those, if you never sold a waffle, and you're like, oh well, $2 is good. Well, you could possibly go broke selling that waffle for $2. Let me give you an example. A pack of grits might cost you 60 cents. Okay.
Right,
Somebody might turn around and tell you sell your bowl of grits for $4.
right.
Right? Now listen to this, and you think nothing of it. But out of that one pack of grits, they need to get 72 servings out of it. Okay. So when they hire the person to work in the kitchen, and that person like, there's my friend Linda. I love Linda. Let me give Linda some more grits. No. We have a pre-established profitable way, based on food costs, based on the hourly rate, based on everything about how much you should get in a bowl of grits.
Wow.
And that is the business of being a restaurateur. So it is, think about it, it's just like your house. The lights have to come on.
Mhm.
Then you have the television. Then you have even the products that are utilized to clean a restaurant, they typically are commercial grade. If a restaurant has a bug problem, they just should not just go get a fly swatter and a can of Raid. I mean, that's not, have you ever walked into a restaurant and it didn't smell good? That could be a grease trap issue. They're not properly removing the fats and oils that are going into the sewer system. And all of this is going on. So that's what I do. It's called front of the house or heart of the house or back of the house. And all of these systems need to work well. Even curbside appeal. What are seasonal food? Right now in the middle of summer. So you have people having ghost kitchens, pop-ups, and all these other stuff.
Yeah.
And they're trying to source them from local people. Well, you got to go get it. Sometimes in Atlanta traffic, you might want those fresh tomatoes, but you're stuck on 285.
Wow. Well, let me say this, Tan. I gotta ask because it's the topic, right? I know we are all shifting, we are all pivoting. I mean, we know it's a beast. I believe in looking at the glass of water half full as opposed to half empty. Doing business in 2021. We go back to March of 2020. That's my go-to for the pandemic to now. How are your clients doing business today? I mean, I know some of them are hurting and suffering, but talk a little bit about that, please.
Well, to answer the question, in this state, there were roughly 18,000 or 19,000 restaurants at the start of March 2020. I think right now it's holding at about 15,000. And those restaurants are permanently closed.
Can you repeat those numbers? Because I know you're right on it. One more time.
Uh, at the top of March 2020, there were roughly 19,000, almost. It's like something like 18,900 restaurants in the state of Georgia, right? And in COVID, I think those numbers, and I don't want to quote it too, I don't want to quote it too tough, but I think they're holding at about 15,000 right now. So that's 4,000 businesses that have flat out closed. I actually shut down 3 or 4 businesses, and it was one of the hardest things that I've ever done, because it was just so volatile. I mean, this is a contact sport, if you will. This is a contact business. The server comes to your table. Hey, how you doing tonight? What can I get you? So with COVID, you don't know what you're going to do. And this is a very touchy business. People are back there making that food. You've got the cooks, you've got everything. And I think some people did pivot in time. I think a lot of businesses are still truly struggling. With some of the larger companies, you see that they put in more drive-throughs. There are also more frictionless methods of picking up your food, curbside. Domino's comes, they drop it off without touching you. But think about that local mom and pop that does not have the deepest of pockets. Also, if someone does get COVID inside of a business and those respond, but now we're at a point where I think a lot of things have happened, but it has been extremely tough. What has also happened in the restaurant and the food service industry is that people who have been working have decided, I don't think I want to do that because it's been a long road.
Well, I
And
tell you, Tandelyn, my heart goes out to, I'm an entrepreneur by spirit. I'm an entrepreneur by heart. It's my girl Robin. Hey, Robin from Nashville, saying pretty much the same thing that you're talking about, Tanner. I mean, she's saying the same thing. She knows that the restaurants in Nashville are closed. As we talk about this, I mean, I'm telling you,
a lot of people couldn't hang on.
yeah, I mean, I'm being very transparent now. I never wanted to get in that industry, but I have a lot of friends who are restaurant owners, work in the business. I know a lot of them are shut down, and I'm telling you, this is why I do what I do for information, right?
So let me say this to you. On a good day, a restaurant operates off a 3% margin. So let's break that down. If you get $1 in, by the time you pay your rent, and this is pre-COVID, by the time you pay your employees, by the time you order your food, right? you are gripping, in general, 5%. Listen, this is a labor of love for so many people. You can be extremely successful of it if it's priced right, if it's in the right location, if you know your target, what they want to eat. However, however, most people, unfortunately, and I think that we see this, we're living, it's not paycheck to paycheck, but payroll to payroll.
Right.
So they got to make the money that week to pay for it. Now here comes COVID. You're shut down. You're not making money. Your employees are not making tips. What are you going to do? And now, not to mention, if someone gets sick and it's just been a burden, I think I applaud the entire industry for how it has pivoted with the new ways to order food, even the changes, and it's going to pivot even more because restaurants had not been the most technologically savvy
Right.
industry. It just wasn't. I
Right.
mean,
Tan, I gotta stop you for a second because you know we got top half and the bottom half, and you know I gotta answer my constituents. Hey, Michelle Gibson, that's another queen out of Tennessee. She's saying it takes so much to pivot in food services. The pop-up trucks have been a big pivot in her area, and that's my girl. Shout out to Michelle Gibson,
hey,
Murfreesboro,
Michelle.
Tennessee. I've been seeing a lot of that in the Atlanta metropolitan area. Do you have any comments on these? I always trying to tell these pop-up trucks.
What I have a comment on, and I don't want to be negative because I'm so the entrepreneur spirit, I'm so impressed by everybody. But I think my concern is that I want everyone to do it correctly. I want to make sure that people are serving safe food. What I don't want to see is someone go buy a truck and just get up and start selling food. I mean, that makes me cringe no matter how good you think the food is, because there are hot holding temperatures, there are just safe ways to do things, and you don't want to hurt anybody, especially the general public, because they don't want to cook that night, and you're making $7,000 making tacos out of the back of your truck, which you need to be properly permitted. You need to be running a business. You don't need to just go over to Kroger and then just set up a fryer. This is leading to sickness in some people, whether or not they realize
Let me interject because I'm getting ready to talk about my 610. First of all, you know how Bella roll because you're going to be my go-to. And to your point, I'm going back to before the pandemic. No shame in the game. I eat out a lot. We used to. I used to, everybody. And there's a lot of food trucks. I work downtown in the metropolitan area. I work for the city of Atlanta, right? The mayor's office, and there was always food trucks. And then I'm thinking, can you expound a little bit? Are they sanctioned? Do they have something that they go through? I mean, I never thought about the back end before until now.
well, that's all I think about. But the food there's a popsicle association, for Christ's sakes. There's a food truck association here in the state of Georgia. There's a restaurant association. There is a hotel association. In food is a multi-billion dollar industry in this state. And I'm a little fuzzy on the stats, but I think pre-pandemic it was something two like 10% of the workforce was in food. That's a huge tax base. So when you ask me these questions, yeah, you can get away with not being properly regulated, but it's not good business. And I just want to
I'm
just
just gonna interject. I'm with you. We're not trying to shame and plug anybody. I mean, I tell everybody, use your own mind and go with what you're comfortable with. I mean, Robert is saying something that obviously I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to be mindful. I'm not saying I'm not.
First of all, you should see the signs.
Yeah,
You should see the certificate of occupancy,
yeah.
which means that they've gone through the health department. Like the health department works with me to help people write HACCP plans. I think I did. And so in my company, we do operations focused classes. Oh, I hear you, Robin. You worked in a restaurant for 8 years. That means she is a tough cookie. I love it. But let me just say this. I remember giving a class about catering, and then we did have some people with food trucks, And food trucks are wonderful. It's wonderful. And so many people do it right. And so I do want you to continue to feel, but you can look, you can see the health scores. You can also see the certificates that say that they are incorporated and that they've gone through the proper licensing and certifications.
Yeah.
If you don't see that, you don't see it. You don't see
Well,
it. Like, wait, look, stand there and look to the left and look to the right.
Tandelyn,
Okay.
I need to stop you right here because I used to tell my audience get a pen, get a scribe, get something because you have got me on fire because I have never, I'm always good about being, I have never stopped to look, for the
Are
radio.
you looking at the board? Are you looking at the board or ask? It may not be that the person you're asking knows, even if they should. You should ask.
Well, let me stop you right here. There's my soul roll friend mentor. We go through a lot. Hey, Denise Winston, she's out of Virginia. Okay, so they coming on in the room, Tanner and Denise, and I know her well. She says she always checks the restaurant and food truck. And I never do. But guess what I'm gonna be doing from now on? Thank you, Denise, and she's coming from Virginia. So, hey, I am telling you, these things are important. Robert is saying, well, no, right?
And let me back up and kind of talk about scores because I'm not even sure. But I remember when I was at the Waffle House, I swear to God, we had like a 90, believe it or not. Then we got a low failing score. I lost $5,000 a day when I got that score. It was crippling. I got the score because of they came in during a busy lunch. Now, when a restaurant is in the middle of lunch, the tomatoes we slinging them, right? They're not going to be at 80 degrees because we got the grill. It's busy. So what I would like to say about food scores is that they are extremely important. But what I would also like to say, because I am really a big fan of restaurateurs, and this is an industry that I love, these local businesses are like everything else. You don't want to get sick. You do need to make sure that, and just ask because most people have spent a lot of money. It used to be that the average startup cost for a restaurant, $250,000. I'm not kidding you. You don't just, you've got to have the right hood system. You've got to have the right, like I said, grease trap system. You're training your people on, okay, let's talk about the Chick-fil-A experience, which everybody loves. That just doesn't happen.
Right.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
That's right.
And they mean it.
That's right.
It's my pleasure. I went there today. I ordered a medium. The guy felt I waited too long. He's like, let me give you a large. And I'm like, this is, and I said if the restaurant industry had been in charge of the COVID vaccine, everybody would have had it.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, Tandelyn, I am already ignited. You already have won yourself an opportunity to come back because I'm telling you, you don't know what you don't know, but when you know, oh my goodness, I got to get a couple of my constituents in here. We talk about scores. I want you to share with the audience how they can get in touch with you, and I am definitely going to have you back. I'm going to put you on blast. Can you come back next month in August for me?
I can come back in August, but my website is www.gahfn, that's 5 letters, folks, .com. So it's www.gahfn.com. The company is the Georgia Hospitality and Food Service Network. And my email is very long, but it is garestaurantadvisor@gmail.com. And that's how you can get in touch with us.
One more time with that email.
Okay. So it is garestaurantadvisor@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So thank you so much for this opportunity to talk.
Listen, I got like about 20 people, but they know how Bella roll. I will make sure, I promise, Tam, I'm a woman of my word. I'll get these questions to you to be answered. I'll post on my Facebook and my YouTube, everyone, Tan's information. Tan, hey, don't go nowhere. Hang back because the last half hour is going to be explosive.
Oh, I'm so excited. George Fraser.
Yes, the one and only George Fraser. So put yourself on mute while I go ahead and do a proper introduction. So we're going to shift and pivot, people. Come on, people. Keep bringing those comments in the room. we got the one and only Dr. George C. Fraser, who is the chairman and CEO of Fraser Net Incorporated, a company that he founded 32 years ago. He has spent 20 years in leadership positions with Procter & Gamble, United Way, and Ford Motor Company before starting his own business, Fraser Net, Incorporated, in 1987. Dr. Fraser in 2016 was awarded the President's Lifetime Achievement Award, but none other than our president, President Obama. And Dr. Fraser, I didn't get my daggone invitation, by the way. But anyway, gonna keep it moving. Dr. Fraser is the proud of the 2 charter schools that he started. He helped to found in Cleveland, Ohio, ladies and gentlemen, nearly 15 years ago, which has educated, I'm sure, well over 300 inner city Black children, with 60% were boys. Dr. Fraser is married to Norma Jean for 46 years. Take a lesson, people, because I'm divorced and my husband's passed on, all right? And he has 2 sons and 3 granddaughters. Without further ado, y'all know Bella is popping on. I am excited to meet my mentor, the one and only Dr. George Fraser. Come on in the room, Dr. Fraser. How you doing tonight?
Up in here, up in here. Can you hear me?
Sound? Yeah, Dr. Fraser.
Mic check. Tandelyn, that was an awesome presentation. I have mad respect for the restaurant industry. One of my sons works in the industry in Vegas. And you just gave some really good nuggets, really good tips, some really good back office inside information. And I learned a lot. Thank you so much for just being transparent, right? And with love and with a sense of humor and that beautiful smile. So I really, really appreciate it. That was excellent. Thank you. Miss Linda, how you doing, darling?
You know how I'm doing. I'm on 25, Dr. Fraser.
You look great. You got your hair looking gorgeous. I love those glasses on you. Look at you, huh? You look like you got your pearls on. Right. You got your Bella Biz t-shirt on. You look royal, babe. You look royal. It's good to be with you. Thank you for having me on. And thank you for all that you have done for us. And thank you for making it possible that we got to interview the icon, our icon, Ambassador Andrew Young. Thank you for that. You made that happen. And it's all about relationships, babes. It's networks. You're an incredible network. I really, really appreciate you for that. And you use it wisely, and you share it, and you continue to invest in our people, educate our people, uplift our people. And you know, this is a great show. How long have you been doing this Facebook Live? This is great.
Thank you. Tandelyn asked me earlier, Dr. Fraser, we have to step out, since October. And I was telling Tandelyn, I've really been doing this all my life, Dr. Fraser. I just have the benefits, right, of modern technology, but I've been speaking out the womb all my life. And, you know, my family knows me by Rigby, my maiden name. No one's a stranger. So I've been doing this professionally on Facebook since October, sir.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, how can I serve you today? What value?
They don't know what they don't know. I know a lot what's going on. I'm going to hold the secret, but I just want you to tell the audience a little bit about, let's talk about business, doing business in 2021, but more importantly, what you got upcoming in August that I can't wait for.
Well, let me just put this nugget out here about business. Business is about relationships. Without relationships, you have no business. Without relationships, you have no business being in business. In fact, the business we're all really in is the business of building relationships. Let me say that a different way. You don't build a business, you build people, and your people build the business. So you have to have incredible interpersonal and people skills to run a business. And Tandelyn made that perfectly clear, right? You cannot get through life and you cannot get through business alone. So you better have a high EQ. You know what an EQ is? That's emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. Yes, an IQ is important. You need to know a little something, But as you get older and wiser, you're going to find out that your EQ will be much more important than your IQ, because it is your ability to manage your 5 most important emotions and use the management of those emotions to cultivate, nurture, and to build relationships at work, at home, and in the community. This is critically important. So the skills that Tandelyn teaching these young people who go to work in these restaurants, she's really working on their interpersonal and people skills. My son works at Gordon Ramsay, right? A high-end restaurant in Caesar's Palace. He's been there for 12 years. He makes $14,000 a month. Now that's no BS. Why? He has an incredible personality. People love him from minute one. He understands service. He understands that when people gather to eat, it's one of the most important social moments of the day. And they want it to be pleasant. And the person that serves them, right, is critical in that connection, because they're the connection between, he is or she is the connection between the kitchen and the brand and the customer. So you really have to have wonderful interpersonal skills. You have to understand what networking really is all about. You have to work on those skills. There's a wonderful book I recommend everybody to read. It's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And Tandelyn, if you got your employees, it's a small little book too. You can read it in less than a week going to the bathroom. Okay, I just want to be transparent here. But you read that book. If you had all your employees read that book, take the exam before you read the book. You can take a little EQ exam before you read the book. Find out what your emotional quotient is, what your EQ is, just like you can find out what your IQ is. And then you read the book, and then you take the exam again. So as they practice their people skills, their service skills, because that's what all of humankind is about. It's about value adding and servicing people in a way that they want to be served. And that takes a skill to find out what that is. So those are the kinds of skills that we teach at the Power Networking Conference coming up August 11th through the 14th. It's going to be virtual this year. Thank God we're not going live with this new rise in the Delta variant. So we are doing it. This is our second virtual, August the 11th through the 14th. And at the Power Networking Conference, we talk about only 3 things. I think they're the 3 most important things to our people. 1, we talk about money. We talk about financial literacy. We talk about closing the income and wealth gap. We talk about overcoming the badass habits that we have when it comes to money. One of those habits is that we are addicted to instant gratification versus delayed gratification. We want it right now, right? And I like to tell people all the time, how we spend our money, for the most part, is not smart. Right? I would say it this way. I would rather carry a plastic bag with $5,000 in it than to carry a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it.
Come on, Dr. Fraser, drop some nuggets. Drop them.
I mean, we are spending outside of our ability to spend just to assuage our woundedness, just so that we can feel better. And it's just not the right way to behave. We have a wide gap to close between Black folk and white folk and the wealth between the two of us. And the gap is growing wider. And unless we fix this, right? We are not going to get where we belong. I hope and pray, and this is why we developed WINS, Wealth Building Centers and Curriculum, which is a financial literacy system that we install in the historically Black church, as we have installed it in Jamal Bryant's church in Atlanta, and 25 other churches around the country. We have our own curriculum because Black people learn differently than white people. We're oral, visual, tactile, kinesthetic, and auditory learners, right? So we designed a curriculum that appeals to our learning style. And we have a system that people can adopt and teach financial literacy right in their church, right in their own social group and organization. So I tell brothers and sisters about businesses, and Tandelyn just backed this up with her marvelous presentation. Business, or let me say it differently. If you don't have a system, you don't have a business. Now, I don't know what the hell you have, right? But if you don't have a system, you don't have a business. And what she described in her marvelous presentation is the system, for example, that the Waffle House uses. McDonald's has a system. Chick-fil-A has a system. You follow that system. Everybody is trained to the T to that system. Everybody is to comport their behavior within the context of that system. All businesses are systems. We teach you how to turn your business into a system. And is the system written down? And can you transfer that knowledge to the new people that you bring into the company so that it can be repeated over and over and it can be refined? So these are the things, the kinds of things that we cover: financial education, how to make proper investments, how to save money, how to invest your money, how to start businesses, because we need to start and build businesses. Black people, ultimately, by the end of the 21st century, Linda, we have to be the #1 employer of our own people. Why? That's the only way to raise up the poor. And every immigrant group that has ever come to this country has understood that, but Black people. We must become the #1 employer of our own people. And that means starting and building businesses. And generally speaking, it means starting small. Why? Because everything begins as a seed, right? You plant the seed in a rich soil. This is a metaphor. And then you water the seed, you fertilize the seed, you cultivate the seed, right? You give the seed time. And then the seed flowers and bears fruit in great abundance. So you start small. If you're going to start in the restaurant business, start small. Learn the ins and outs. Fail. Make mistakes, because you're going to learn far more from failure than you will ever learn from success. I have failed my way to success, but my genius is that I failed fast. Okay, I failed fast, and I just, I tried many things, as you should, and because this is how you're going to learn. This is how you're going to touch things and see what you like, see what your strengths are. You're trying to identify God's purpose for you, and that means trying a lot of things. It also means living life on the edge, because that's where life is. Life is on the edge, and you must go to the edge, and you must jump off and grow your wings coming down. Right? In other words, you've got to go through the hills and valleys and twists and turns and the failures and the mistakes. My favorite quote outside of the Bible is from Marcus Aurelius. My favorite quote inside of the Bible is Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That's a whole nother story. All right. But my favorite quote outside of the Bible is Marcus Aurelius, one of the founders of the Stoic philosophy. And Marcus Aurelius said 2,000 years ago, check this out, and this is deep now: the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way.
Oh,
That's deep now. That's deep. Let me repeat it. The impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. Let me say that a different way. The obstacle is the way. Where there is no obstacle, there is no way.
No
What is
way.
the
Well,
thing? Now, that's deep, right? Now, what is the first thing God does when he gives you an assignment that he feels that you are ready for? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under the obstacle, to make the mistakes and to learn the lessons. And when you do, you get an atta girl and an atta boy from God. And then you get your next assignment, Linda, at a slightly higher level because you've learned from the last assignment. And then what's the next thing God does? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under the obstacle. And each step is overcoming obstacles so that you can learn the lessons. This is what we teach at the Power Networking Conference, how to overcome obstacles. Now, let me say this in a very transparent way. Nobody will be saving Black people but Black people.
come on, one more time, Dr.
Okay?
Joyce.
White people will not be saving Black people. Do you know who white people are saving? White people. Who are Asians saving? Asian people. White people and Asians ain't thinking about us. They're thinking about them. They're thinking about their husbands, their wives, their children, their neighborhoods, their schools, and their businesses in your pockets. That's what they're thinking about. Right? You can't hate on them for that. In fact, I tell people all the time, if you go into a Chinese restaurant and there are 4 brothers waiting on you, leave. That's not a real Chinese restaurant because Chinese people don't employ Black people. They employ Chinese people. And you can't hate on them for that. I get excited when I talk like this. But anyway, so these are the lessons that we have to learn. The food business is a marvelous business. It's potentially, if you know what you're doing, if you have a system and you run a good ship and you're an incredible leader, right? You could make a really, really good living. And in fact, at a certain level, you can become a millionaire in business. You can own multiple brands. Ask Junior Bridgman, the basketball player who owns 400 restaurants. So you can do very good in the restaurant business, but it is a people business and you need serious leadership skills at the end of the day. Why is that, Dr. Fraser? Because a good leader inspires people to have confidence in the leader. But a great leader, Tandelyn, inspires people to have confidence in themselves. That's what great leaders do. That's what great leaders do, right? Because what did I say earlier? You don't build a business, you build your people. And your people build your business. If you understand anything about leadership. You know, when I talk to managers, I get the feeling that they are important. But when I talk to great leaders, I get the feeling that I'm important. That's the secret. That's the secret. So how do you become a true leader? We teach these methodologies and these systems at the Power Networking. How do you become a true leader? So you can lead people appropriately and accomplish your vision, your goals, and their goals. It's really simple. Let's keep this really simple. A true leader, number one, you don't try to be right. You try to be clear. You don't try to be right. You try to be clear. Do people understand what you're saying? Are they inspired to do what you're telling them to do? Are they clear about their responsibility? That's one thing. The second thing, you try not to have the last word. That's ego. Be clear. And then have the person that you're training feed back to you the clarity in a way in which they understood what you just said. They get the last word, unless they repeat back to you something that isn't right because it wasn't clear, and then you can repeat it over again. You just want to be clear. Give them the last word by feeding back to you how they understand what you inspired or asked them or instructed them to do. That's a great leader. And then finally, the third thing that a true leader can do, and this is huge. You no longer try to show that this was your idea. You empower other people to own this idea. That's what you're really doing. That's why true leaders give all the credit away. Give it away. So that it inspires people to take ownership of your in fact your training and your ideas. They're taking ownership of it. Once they own it, they'll do it. But if you're the only one in the shop that owns the idea of what is necessary and the others can't see it or understand it or aren't inspired to do it, you have potential chaos. So this job of a manager of anything, a leader of anything, is critical. There's an old saying, if the fish stinks, look to the head. If the store ain't working, it's leadership. It's leadership. They can blame it on their people if they want to, but their people are a reflection of their leadership. So I'm loving what I'm hearing from Tandelyn. She's absolutely got the right ideas, no question about that. And I didn't hear her say it, but maybe she did say it. Understand that people gathering to eat is one of the most important social moment of the day. That's when, you know how much business is done around a food table?
A lot.
Family gatherings around a food table that people didn't personally prepare, but the family went out to eat or people met to do some business. It's a very important moment. And keeping people happy in that moment will get you paid. Let me say that differently. People will pay you extra money just for being nice to them. That's how needy we are. If you just treated me with a little bit of dignity and respect and you smile, I might double your tip. You made me feel good. So that's a fundamental thing, certainly in the service industry. It's triple in the restaurant business and the service industry, because you're getting people at one of the most important communal social moments of their day. You're feeding them. You're feeding them. Make them feel good about that, and they will repay you. They will repay you. So these are all things that are related to wonderful interpersonal people skills, wonderful networking skills. I've written 6 best-selling books on that subject. The classic being I wrote 30 years ago called Success Runs in Our Race, The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the African-American Community. It is a modern-day classic. It is required reading in 57 historically Black colleges. It is the book that started the networking conversation in Black America and ultimately started the networking movement. It is a book that coined the term, although I don't get credit for it, connect the dots. Connect the dots, right? That you're going to have to build 3 kinds of networks throughout your entire life. through every passage of your life. And you're going to have to work on these 3 networks every minute of your life. There is your personal network. These are your close circle of friends. These are the people that know you, love you, lift you up, cheer you on. Right? Let's call that your network at home. If stuff ain't right at home, it ain't going to be right anyplace else either. Right? So at home. I'm talking about mom and them, the extended family, cousins, nephews, etc., etc. All right? That's your personal network. Your second is your operational network. This is what Tandelyn was talking about. These are the people that help you to get specific tasks done in life. By the way, they platoon in and out of your life, right? You help them get something done. They help you get something done. Whether it's a place of business in which you work, whether it's a business in which you started, whether it's an organization in which you're serving on their board or you're assisting in the church, right? This is your operational network. And they don't stay with you throughout your life. You know the old saying, people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime, right? They platoon in and out of your life. And I heard Tandelyn said that she was at one place 18 months and then she moved on. But the people that she was with for 18 months helped her and she helped them get a specific task done, right? That's an operational network. The third and final network is your strategic network. These are the people that are smarter than you. These are the people that will drag you into the 21st century kicking, screaming, and crying. These are the people who are where you want to be in life. These are the people that potentially could be your coaches and your mentor. If you are the smartest person in your network, you're in the wrong damn network. Right? You don't ever want to be the smartest person because how are you going to grow? Who's reaching down and lifting you up as you're reaching down and lifting others up? So you need those 3 networks and you got to work on them through all 8 passages of life if you're lucky. And each passage is 10 years. Let me say that differently. You're a different person at 10 than you were at 1. You're a different person at 20 than you were at 10. Let us pray. Although I've met some people who were 20 that act like they were 10, right? You're a different person at 30 than 20, 40 than 30, 50 than 40, 60 than 50, 70 than 60, 80 than 70. I'm 76. So let me give you some advice about these passages. There was a fabulous study done by the New England Journal of Medicine 2 years ago on the three most productive periods of your life. When you are at your best, the third most productive period of your life is between 50 and 60.
Woohoo, I'm in the house.
Hold on. That's the third most productive. The second most productive period of your life is between 70 and 80. And the number 1 most productive period of your life is between 60 and 70. So God has designed us that we will do our best work between 50 and 80. What am I saying to you, brothers and sisters? Between 0 and 49, you ain't done shit. You're practicing. You're making mistakes. You're failing. You're sharpening the saw. You're getting ready for the best stuff of your life between 50 and 80. Be patient. Make the mistakes. Learn the lessons. Get some guidance. Surround yourself with incredible people. Introduce me to your 5 closest friends, and that'll tell me who you are. As they know and as they go, so go you. Don't spend major time with minor people. That's what I'm telling you. Don't spend major time with minor people. People going nowhere want you to go nowhere with them. People doing nothing want you to do nothing with them. If you want to change your life, change your relationships. If you are not where you want to be in life, it's because you don't have the right people in your life. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. It's the people you are hanging with. You will not get through life alone. My second favorite quote in the Bible is John 5:30. It's a direct quote from Jesus Christ. And I quote, "And Jesus said, I of my own self can do nothing." Now, this was Jesus, the Son of God. He couldn't get it done on his own by himself in a vacuum. So what's up with you? Why would you think you could do anything significant, anything worth talking about on your own by yourself in a vacuum? You cannot. You will have to do it with and through other people. That's how God has designed the system. Dr. Fraser didn't design that. That's a God thing. So read, understand how you build relationships, how you lead, and where you going from there. Because you got a lot of life to live now. You got a lot of life to live. I'm praying that you live 8 passages. That's 80 years. You got a lot of life to live. Now what you going to do? Are you going to waste that time? You know how fast time goes? I'm 76 years old. It's like I blink my eyes, Linda, and I'm 76. I've been
Looking
married
good,
for over
Dr.
7
Fraser.
years. I'm 76. I blink my eyes. Where the hell did time go? Don't waste your time on stupid shit and stupid people. Right? You're not going to get through life alone. Be careful who you hang with. That's all I'm telling you. The better you manage that, the more successful you will be. The 2 biggest decisions you will make in your life will be your life partner, the person you marry. That's the most important. Screw that up a couple of times and see what your life looks like. Okay? Right? So that's the number 1 decision. And by the way, let me just say this transparently. We're making that biggest decision too young. Too young. You shouldn't be making a decision like that if you're a sister nowhere close to 30. You should be older than 30 years old. And a man doesn't mature until he's 40. Till he's 40. He doesn't even know himself. He's going to raise a family and manage relationships that are the most serious in his life. No. Take your time on that decision. Because you're going to fly or you're going to fall on that decision. The second biggest decision you will make is your business partner, if you have a business. That's like a marriage. In fact, marriage, anybody that's been married, is serious business. Serious business. Right? Once you get past the sex thing, lasts about a minute, relatively speaking. It's now down to some serious ass business. And you got a partner. And y'all better see it eye to eye. So those are the 2 biggest decisions. We teach you how to make those decisions at the Power Networking Conference. In fact, we have had 2 marriages at the Power Networking Conferences. People who've come to the conference, met each other, came back year after year. This is our 20th anniversary. And 2 of them actually married at the Power Networking Conference.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there because Dr. Fraser, you say you don't know what you don't know. I know I'm going to the conference thanks to you. So I want you to tell these lovely people as you close out in the last 5 minutes, because time means absolutely nothing. This is absolutely humble nuggets. And if people, please hear me. For all those following Bella, you better get a pen and a pencil and do a record. Because Dr. Fraser ain't playing up in here today. Dr. Fraser, let them know about August. I know I got my ticket and I'm going every single day.
Remember, it's a global virtual conference. This is our second one. We won an award for our first one, Best in Class Conferences, okay, for virtual. We're doing it again, bigger and better. There'll be 5,000 people from around the world. There'll be 50 speakers. You can go to www.powernetworkingconference.com and see all of the speakers, including Ambassador Andrew Young, including the great Boyce Watkins, including Inyala Van Zandt. And I just don't want to waste time naming 50 people, but you will know them. They're the best and brightest, and they're the top Black professionals, business owners, and community leaders. There will be 40 workshops. There will be booths, all virtual. You'll be surprised how we pull that off, right? So you can go to the www.powernetworkingconference.com and you can register for the virtual. The virtual is $297. It's 4 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. August the 11th through the 14th. 4 days. 12 noon to 6:30. Action-packed. You can register on the website. Then there's the live conference, which we're going back to live for the first time in 3 years next August in Houston, August the 3rd through the 6th. It'll be live. That'll be our 21st anniversary. Now, I'm going to make you a special offer and I'm finished. This is just for those who are watching, was smart enough to watch and hang in there. If you want to come live, you can go to the site. You'll see that an adult registration, one adult, is $1,500. We sell out every year. We ask you to bring a young person, 17 to 25. That's $800. So you and one young person is $2,300. If you want to come to the live next year, if you want to come to the virtual this year, that's $300. That's a $2,600 package for the live and the virtual. I'm going to take $2,000 off of that. I'm going to give that to you for $599. $599 for the live next year in Houston and the virtual coming up August the 11th through the 14th. You can't get that going on the site. You got to come through me. That's a special offer. That's my Linda special. All right. Email me at gfraser, Fraser, gfraser at frasernet.com. That's gfraser, Fraser. You see my last name up there. gfraser at frasernet.com. gfraser at frasernet.com. Put in the subject line, I'm in. Put in the body of the email your full name and your cell number. Your full name and your cell number. Your full name and your cell number. I will personally call you and we will handle our business over the phone. The offer is good for the next 3 hours. And then don't call me and ask me about it, because I'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. I never made that offer. Okay. So that's my gift to Linda. That's a show of my appreciation for the incredible presentation that Tandelyn did. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I love you. I love you both. You're just incredible, incredible sisters. And, let's stay connected.
Well, I love it. Listen, it's 7:16 and I don't care because people know what they don't know. Dr. Fraser, I always like my guests to close out, so I'm going to pick you. You have given so many nuggets. I wrote it down. People, you better be wise and do the recast, rebroadcast, stop, go, replay, pause, because I'm telling you, this man is full of so much wisdom. Need I say any more? Dr. Fraser, close us out with whatever nuggets you want to give all these people.
Okay. I'm going to answer the most important question in life. And the question is this: what is the meaning of life? And the answer is this: life has no meaning. Each of us have meaning, and we bring it to life. So it is crazy to ask that question when, in fact, brothers and sisters, you are the answer. Love you.
Wow. I don't even know what to say, everybody, but I'll say this. I love y'all. Love you.